In this video, we'll show you how to install an aftermarket HD9813 RG Stage 2 on a 2013 Road Glide. Hey everyone, I'm Eric, and we'll get started by removing the battery terminals. You never want to work on any electronics with the battery connected. Start by using a number 2 Phillips to remove the seat and a T40 Torx to move the ECU cradle out of the way. Once you have access, use a 10mm socket or Phillips screwdriver to disconnect the battery terminals. Now we're ready to remove the fairing. First, we'll install the service cover on the fender. Then we'll use a 1/2-inch ratchet to remove 4 bolts for the marker lights. Then carefully remove the lamp assembly from the fairing. Then, using a T27 Torx, we'll remove the 6 Torx bolts that hold the fairing in place. Now it's best to have 2 people for this step, one to hold the fairing in position and the other to remove the screws. Once we pull up on the fairing, we'll disconnect the headlight harnesses and remove it from the bike. Now that we have that done, we're ready to remove the gas tank. We'll start off by disconnecting the main gas line. Push up on the hose and slide the collar upward, then pull down on the gas line. Next, disconnect the 2 breather lines in the back and detach any harnesses. Note that these may be zip tied underneath. Now once that's done, use a 1/2-inch socket to remove the 2 bolts in the back of the gas tank, then move to the front and detach the plastic covers and remove the other 2 bolts. On our motorcycle, we used a long reach extension to clear the lowers. Now once you remove the gas tank, you can finish by using a plastic pry tool to remove the center trough cover. Now we're ready to remove both fairing speakers. We'll start by disconnecting the speaker wires, noting white is positive and black is negative. Then use a 7/16 socket to carefully loosen the bolt that captures the speaker housing. Finally, use a T25 Torx to remove the existing screws and speaker assembly. Alright, now we're ready to install our new speakers. Be sure to use the hardware that's included with your new TMS speakers. Position the speaker with the grill logo facing down and slide it into the mounting standoffs on the fairing. Secure the 3 mounting screws in place using a number 2 Phillips. Reattach the factory harness to the speaker terminals, then tighten the capture bolt to finish securing it to the fairing. If the factory wiring harness is too short on your motorcycle, you can remove the 4 bolts that hold the speaker to the bezel with a number 2 Phillips and rotate it. Once you're done, repeat the process on the other side. Alright, now we're ready to install our power harness. Take the power connector side of our harness and run it up the clutch side to the amplifier location that will be mounted on the left side of the inner fairing. Verify there's enough slack to make your battery connections. Let's take a moment to explain the harnesses included in your Road Glide kit. Now there are several wiring harnesses, so let's break them out. This is the front input cable used to connect the audio from our factory harness to the amplifier. This is the front output cable used to connect our speakers to the amplifier. Now, there's some additional cables included. If you have a tour pack, use this to tap into the factory wiring and power the speakers. Finally, the rear radio harness is used to get the rear audio from the radio, connecting our amplifier to our bag lid speakers. We've also included 2 Y adapters. These go on the front and rear output channels of the amp. This allows you to add additional speakers to the amplifier in the future. In the Amplifier Installation kit, you'll notice multiple brackets. This is the main one for our amplifier mounting bracket. This one is for installing in batwing fairings, and this one is for shark nose fairings. Now we're ready to prep our amplifier for installation. We'll use the heatsink and two brackets from our amp mounting kit. First, turn the heatsink over with the fins facing down and the diamond R logo facing up. Take the smaller bracket with the flap facing out and secure it to the two holes labeled 9813 Road Glide, using a 2mm Allen and the provided flush mount screws. Next, take the larger bracket and secure it to the holes named 9813 on the other side. Finally, we'll flip the assembly over and secure our amplifier in place with 4 button head screws using a 2.5mm Allen. Note the position of the Rockford Fosgate logo in relation to the heatsink fins. Now we're ready to tune our amplifier. We offer an amp tuning guide that's available in the description of this video and through this kit's product details page at rockfordfosgate.com. There are 3 options for tuning the amplifier based on the radio that you're using. To get started, use the included Allen wrench to remove the smoke cover. Then use a small flathead to make the necessary amplifier adjustments. Now we're ready to install the amplifier. To get started, we'll use a 1/2-inch socket and remove 2 nuts on the left side of the fairing. We'll slide the amplifier assembly up and capture our marker light harness in the slot of the small bracket. Then we'll position the larger bracket over the 2 bolts and replace the 1/2-inch nuts to secure the assembly in place. Be sure to properly position your marker light harness in the groove before tightening the 2 bolts. Now we're ready to wire our amplifier. We'll take the front input cable, noting white is positive and black is negative, and connect the right side input to the right factory terminals and the harness labeled left side input to the left factory terminals. Once you're done, connect the Molex into the amplifier's front input. Next, connect both Y adapters to the front output and rear output harnesses. Then, connect the front output cable into one of the Y adapters on the amplifier's front output. Connect the cable labeled right side output to the right speaker, noting red is positive and black is negative. Then, finish by connecting the cable labeled left side output to the left speaker. Next, plug the power connector into the amplifier, noting the blue turn-on wire is not used in this configuration. Finally, once you're done with that, attach the 35-pin rear radio harness into the back of the source unit. Now this harness is for future upgrades and will not be used in this installation. All right, now that you made the required connections, you'll need to clean up the wiring. Now this is important on Road Glide fairings because the headlight configuration doesn't allow much room. Let's take a look at how we routed our harnesses. There are 2 hooks used for the fairing placement, so it's important to keep wiring away from them. You'll most likely need to realign the OEM harnesses and tuck them up as far as possible. Next, the amp outputs and power harnesses need to be routed behind the amp bracket. Noting our connections will reside up and above. To get audio to the right speaker, we carefully route our cables underneath the radio bracket to the other side. Then we'll use 2 zip ties on the bottom of the radio bracket to pull up all the harnesses in tight. All right, now we can start to reassemble and make some battery connections. We'll clean up our wiring, reinstall the center trough, install our gas tank, and make our battery connections. Now you're ready to test and tune the system. Refer to your tuning guide for testing procedures and make any adjustments as needed. Now that everything is working properly, let's finish reassembling our motorcycle and get it back out on the road. As you can see, that install was pretty straightforward. If you prefer a professional do the install for you, we have a network of authorized Rockford Fosgate dealers that can be found on our website. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact our technical support. They can be reached Monday through Friday at 1-800-669-9899 or through live chat at the bottom of our website at rockfordfosgate.com. Until next time, I'm Eric, and we'll see you again soon.